In this video, I'm going to be looking at Answering Machine by The Replacements. This is the final track on their classic 1984 album Let It Be. And I've actually had quite a lot of requests for this one, mostly off the back of the previous Replacements lesson that I did. I looked at the song I Will Dare, I think 2 or 3 years ago now, and actually sat down and started figuring this song out round about that time, but I quite quickly got a bit frustrated and eventually I gave up. And I think the problem is with this song, it's quite mysterious what's going on with the guitar parts. I think it's an unusual tuning, some unusual chords happening here. So I did actually return to it the other day and I finally put together a version which I'm fairly happy with. It sounds pretty authentic to me. I'm not going to guarantee that it's 100% correct, but I'm pretty happy with what I've come up with, so I'm going to share my discoveries with you in this video. Let's get started. Let's start with that tuning. I say it's unusual. It's not that unusual. It's a standard open tuning. This is open A tuning. I suppose it's slightly uncommon to find this tuning used in rock and roll. It's not a tuning that I've really played around with very much, but apparently it was a favourite tuning of Paul Westerberg. I'm not an expert on the Westerberg guitar style, but I'm told that he uses this tuning quite a lot. I'm not sure which other Replacement songs he uses this tuning in. If you know that, do let me know. But let's talk about how to get into this tuning. So it sounds like this, and we're basically tuning to an open A chord kind of a sound, and 3 of the strings are the same as standard tuning, but strings 2, 3 and 4 are raised a tone. So the notes that we've got are E, A, and then we've got E, we've got A, we've got C sharp, and then we've got high E. So it's as if the open strings are now sounding like your regular cowboy open A chord would. And it's worth pointing out that this tuning is essentially the same as open G tuning. In open G, everything is actually tuned down a whole step, but all of the notes are the same relative to one another, so you can use all of the same chord shapes in this tuning. You can do all of that kind of Rolling Stones, Keith Richards type stuff. And this is quite a fun, quite an easy tuning to get to grips with, because we've got some familiar reference points here from standard tuning. So we can play our standard power chords on the lowest couple of strings. Those notes are unchanged from standard tuning. You can play power chords with one finger on strings 3, 4 and 5. That's quite a fun thing to do. And also on strings 2, 3 and 4. Those strings are in the same relationship as standard tuning. Everything's just tuned higher, but you can do all of the familiar triad type stuff on those strings if you want to. So that's the tuning. Let's move on and look at the song, starting with this great opening riff. So absolutely love this riff. I'm just going to turn off the effects while I teach it to you, just so you can hear things a bit more clearly. It starts with this move, which is basically that kind of sound, B sus4 going to B. So if you bar up the 2nd fret here, that's a B major chord. This note here at the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, that's our 4. So you've got that kind of sus4 just going to the straight major chord sound. I'm playing it like this. So I've got the root note here, 2nd fret on the 5th string, then I've got 3 on the second string, 2 on the third string, just arpeggiating those notes, and then just coming down to the second fret on the second string. So that's how I'm playing it. I'm using fingers 1, 2 and 3. You've got some options how you play this. You could play it with fingers 2, 3 and 4. I thought that perhaps there might be an open high E string in there. That's possible, but I think it's more likely to be played like this, I think, and it's easier to play it like this. Then we just got an open 5th string in passing, and then going to this move. So I'm kind of changing my hand shape here and going into this shape here. It's like a power chord shape. So 2 on the 5th string, 4 on the 4th string, and I'm picking the 4th string and then the 5th string, and as I go to the 5th string, there's a little pull off with my 3rd finger, and then hitting the 3rd string. I'm just barring across at the 2nd fret there. And if I put that together with the first bit of the riff, and then I think there's just a little passing note there, 4th fret on the 5th string, and then the riff goes round again, but interestingly it's not quite the same. The actual melody in the riff is displaced by half a beat, so now we've got it's quite a subtle thing. Just if I count that out for you, the first time you hear the riff it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the second time you hear the riff it's 2, 3, 4. So it's got that quite subtle rhythmic displacement in there, which I think is really cool. I mean, Westerberg doesn't play this exactly the same way every time. It's pretty loose. It's the replacements after all, but certainly at the very top of the song he kind of plays it straight and then it's displaced the second time he plays the riff, which I think is pretty cool. So let me put all of that together for you with the effects here. I've just got a bit of overdrive and a bit of chorus, and that sounds like this. Then we're into the verse, which starts like this. So basically this is just power chords. We've got an A power chord going down 3 frets to an F sharp, but what Westerberg is doing, which is quite clever, is just playing some melodic stuff, mostly on the 3rd string. So you fret the power chord, then I'm using my pinky and my 2nd finger to play the 7th and the 6th frets on the 3rd string. And you need to make sure that the 4th string is muted. I'm just leaning into that with my 1st finger. So you just play around. I think in a later verse he kind of comes over onto the 4th string as well. So that's on the A chord. Then we're going down to the F sharp, and you can hear that he's just adding in this note here, 5th fret on the 2nd string to the power chord underneath. Then we're going back up to this again. You can vary the exact melody and the phrasing of the melody. Mostly it matches the vocal phrasing, I think, on this. So perhaps a little bit of palm muting as well on this. So and then the second time round, instead of going down to the F sharp, we're doing this. So this is a lovely sounding chord shape. So we've got 7th fret on the 5th and 4th strings, and then 9th fret on the 3rd string, which is giving you that kind of sus2 sound, really nice. And then we're just taking that same shape down to the 2nd fret, so E sus2 going to B sus2. Go around again. So that's just the A power chord going to the F sharp. And then we've got what I guess is the chorus. So it's more of this kind of sus2 idea. So here we're at the 4th fret, so it's C sharp sus2, but we're playing around with the melody on the 3rd string, so it's actually quite a nice melodic guitar part, this. So we've got, I think we're actually starting off here at the 7th fret with the pinky. That's kind of a C sharp minor sound, and taking that top note down and then going down again just to the bar at the 4th fret, and then this. So we've got, again, you've got a melody played on the 3rd string. You could play this in a couple of different ways. I like playing it just on the 3rd string, I think. So you've got the open 5th and 4th strings, melody on the 3rd string. And then more of this sus2 shape. So at the 7th fret, 9th fret, and then down to the 2nd fret, and then just releasing that finger. You can play that note with the pinky or your 3rd finger, it's really up to you. And then we go round again, so it repeats. And then there's a slight variation, so this is a bit where he does it slightly differently every time. You could just play a single, some single notes, but quite often he's doing this little kind of sliding move. I'm hearing it like this. He's kind of sliding fourths, so on the 2nd and 3rd strings you've got fret 11 and 12, just sliding that around, and then it continues as before. Let me play a verse and a chorus with the effects on. I'm going to try and play it as close as I can to the record. Bear in mind there are lots of little nuances and variations. If you're interested in those, I should suggest just really closely listening to the recording. But the basic idea is something like this. So. What else have we got then? I think next there's a re-intro. You've got that opening riff played slightly differently, I think, when it happens again. Then we've got another verse, another chorus, all played more or less the same as before. And then we've got a little bit of an instrumental section, which sounds something like this. We've got... So we've got some more of those sus2 chord shapes in there, but it starts like this, which is our basic kind of B chord, but we've got the addition of this note here, 5th fret on the 2nd string. So it creates a nice kind of B power chord sound. And we're sort of chugging away on the lowest notes in that chord, and then occasionally we're just playing some accents on the higher string. So kind of idea, but there's just a bar on this chord, and then this kind of move. So this is our B sus2, just sort of lifting up the pinky and then putting it back down again, and sliding up to the 7th fret, and then it goes round again, and then the second time round we're going lower, and I'm hearing the chord as this. So we've got open, open, 2, I'm muting the 2nd string, and an open top string. I mean, you don't have to be too precise. It's, you know, it's pretty messy on the recording, but that sounds close to me. Go around again. And then at the end I'm going to this. So it's kind of open, 2, muted, 2, muted, and open. So that kind of sound. Sometimes the 6th string isn't in there and it's just this. But that's the basic idea. So that's our little instrumental bit. We've got another short verse, a chorus, then a little bridge of sorts. Is that I Hate Your Answering Machine bit, which as far as I can hear is basically this. So starting with open 5th and 4th strings. Again, this idea of just playing a little melody on the 3rd string, or sometimes coming over to the next string, and then more of these sus2, so E down to B, so it's a little 3-bar phrase. And then for the outro of the song, it just goes back to that same instrumental bit that we had before. And it just goes on to the end of the song. So there we go. I hope I've unravelled a few mysteries of this song. I'm actually quite pleased that I've managed to make some progress with it and finally got a version together which I'm quite happy with. So have some fun with it. You can learn the entire song. It's a classic tune. I think I might do that myself, actually, just learn the song, sing along to it and sort of add it to my repertoire. Even if you don't want to do that, you might want to just play around with this tuning. It's a really beautiful tuning. Let me take you through the gear that I'm using today. It's got a great kind of 80s distorted chorusy sound on this one. Not sure exactly what Westerberg would have used on this recording, but he was obviously mostly associated with Les Paul Juniors and specials. Haven't got one of those, so I'm just using my regular Les Paul. I'm on the bridge pickup here going into my Princeton, and I've got a couple of pedals for the overdrive. I'm using my Noble's ODR1, and then for chorus I'm using the Boss CE2. This is the Wazercraft version of that pedal. I have actually got an original vintage CE2, but the Wazercraft stuff is great. It sounds identical to my original CE2. Plus you've got these extra modes in there as well. It's kind of got the CE1 circuit in there too. So it's an expensive pedal, but I think it's worth it for what you get with this particular one. Let me give you some sounds. The guitar just going into the Princeton clean. Adding the overdrive. And then adding the chorus. That's it for this week. Hope you've enjoyed it. As usual, my tab will be up on the Patreon page. If you'd like to see more Matt's content, do let me know which songs you'd like to see, and I'll see you in the next video.